Okay, I think this is live. I think this is live. Can't really tell. Anyways, let me show this down here. I guess I'm showing that I'm a noob. Uh, yeah. Okay. Anyways, I really don't expect anybody to show up live because I didn't make an announcement or anything, but I think this could be kind of cool for those who follow me who like guitar making and stuff. And I wanted to show you a website, and I wanted to tell you more or less what my plan is. I know I said I was going to show a video, a very well produced video regarding not the bass. You can tell I need more caffeine. The small guitar, the travel guitar, parlorish that I made for Carla, and I promise you that is going to be recording. I don't know exactly when. Weather just started to change. Today we had a sunny day, but I also was getting ready for the blackout. We are right now in the blackout. I'm running with what I have left in solar energy and a generator in front of the farm, but we're making things work. Things are happening, so it's all good. And I'm ready. I'm ready to start making guitars. Again, I want to finish a bass before the end of the year. So, anyways, what does it say? Oh, look, I got a notification that I'm live. All right. So, anyways, so here's the plan. I wanted to show you guys if you want to get into guitar making. I think this is one website you should know about. I've been using it for years now, and my brother showed it to me. Um, Actually, I don't even know. Maybe 8 years ago, 9 years ago, I forgot all about it. But about 2 years ago, I found it myself. Excuse me, because I'm still under the weather a little bit. And I've been using it to do all my fretboard designs, my scales, and what have you. Now, I will tell you something, okay? And this should not be controversial, but for some reason it can be. The guitar is the neck. If you don't take the time to work on this aspect of your instrument, on making sure that your string spacing makes sense, that making sure that the scale is comfortable regarding the design, where it's going to be, all these details regarding the neck, then up to a point, it doesn't matter how pretty the guitar is because at the end of the day, it's a functional thing. It's supposed to do stuff. It's supposed to be able to merge with a musician. It's supposed to be able to make music. And one of the really important things about making guitars is accuracy. Scales are, of course, there's tolerances, but they're very, very, very tiny. And doing the math for your fretboard to lay out all your frets and what have you can be daunting, can be challenging, can be scary. Now, this is why I love this website because it removes the scariness out of it. It's almost too easy to design a fretboard. Obviously, what you would do on this website is none of the artistic stuff. You're not going to do the inlays. You're not going to do not even the dot inlays or block inlays, traditional stuff. You're going to do any of those. This is going to give you the distances for the frets. If you want to do multi-scale, if you want to do traditional scale, if you want to go 25/5, 24 and 3/4, anything. You can do anything you want on this website. And not only that, but also you can download it in all these different types of files. I, excuse me, I usually download it into SVG, which is a vector format, and then I load it into Aspire, which is a software made by Vectric that I'm using, and then I go on from there. Now, that being said, um, my friends, I am debating myself of what it is exactly that I should do with with um, with this bass because let me show you something. Let's go on the internet. So let me show you something before I go on the website. There is a bass I had a long time ago. Can't remember how you spell it. Kubicki, X Factor. It's gonna correct me. Google is gonna correct me. Philip Kubicki. Yeah, I spelled it wrong, but it doesn't matter. I'll tell you a story about this bass. Um, some people know this about me, some people don't. But a long time ago, I used to work for Samash Corporation. Yeah, the company that just went under and apparently seems to be coming back, um, but only online. And when I worked for them, one day I had this really pretty girl show up to the store, and back then I don't know why I ended up doing a lot of the used purchases. Meaning, I was the manager that would receive you with all your gear and make you offers and stuff. So I got really good at checking out prices and estimating costs and what have you, so I can set the prices right and all that stuff. Um, but every now and then, I would be tempted to do the wrong thing. I would be tempted to take an instrument for myself. This was one of those times. When I was looking at this bass and I plugged it and I played it, I was like, oh my God. I thought about offering this girl, you know, money on the side, but good thing I didn't, because aside from the fact that that's not right, and that would have been terrible, terrible example for my employees and what have you. Um, aside from that, because I think I acted in a good way, not only did I get to have this space for almost a year and play it, even though I didn't buy it from this girl, but I didn't have to spend a penny. So life worked out. I did the right thing, and life worked out. Well, kinda, because I only had the bass for a year. But I remember this bass as just a monster. Monster instrument. I loved it. I loved the tone. I love how it felt. There's a feature in this bass that you will be hard pressed to notice unless you know about kubikis. And I can kind of show you on this image here. I don't know if you can see it, but this is basically an extra little tiny fret so that you can drop D, your E, just by moving this lever right here. So the way that works is with the thumb, you would push that up, then you would get the string out of there, put it back down, and then the string would sit on top of this new nut. It's like, see, that's like the nut is only these three strings, and there's a piece of a nut back here, and then that string would be tuned on drop E. And when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, that is genius. That is genius. I learned later on that day that Philip Kubicki used to work for Fender, and that, yeah, he was considered a genius. He had a lot of really amazing ideas. The bridge design was also his, the pickups, the electronics. The way that he constructed the neck, it was a crazy lamination, thousands of laminations, so the neck was rock solid. It would not move. Now, some of the things that Kubicki did back then, I am not going to attempt to do myself because I don't even know if I could, to be honest, make a lamination like he did. On the next, this feature, the one that I was just talking about regarding the drop D, could be something. Maybe not for this build because I'm not going to make a headless model, but making a headless model with this feature makes a lot of sense to me. Makes a lot of sense. And that might be the next one. That might be the next bass I make. But what I want to talk about, or how I feel about this bass, is that it needs the bass that I designed the next few days, that I'll start today working on the neck. I want it to be inspired in a kubiki. I want to remember this instrument, and I want to one more day hold something like this in my hands and play it, even though this instrument might not stay with me for a long time. Now, on the podcast that I did with the Guitar Builders Collective, which I haven't been able to assist because all these blackouts that we've been having. I'm sorry. I was sharing with the guys that I enjoy building an instrument thinking about somebody, which is to say, I don't just make them because like I'm gonna make a Fender copy or I'm gonna make a Gibson copy or what have you. Like I like to think of somebody that I would love to see that person play the instrument that I want to make. So it's kind of like, okay, if I was making an instrument for you, what instrument do I imagine you have in your hands? So on this bass, I am going to picture two people. One of them is going to be me, as I described from the fact that we're talking about the Kubiki, who my friend Douglas owned and loaned me for a year. That's because I called him right away when I had the base. It's like, hey, you gotta come check this out. And also, it's gonna be another friend named Arturo. Now, why am I thinking of two people? You might ask. Well, for one, because I don't like to make instruments that I don't like myself. If I wouldn't play it, then I don't want to make it. So that's one thing. And then number two, because I think that's something that hasn't been tried that could be interesting, and I think my friend Arturo would love. He will possibly fall in love with this idea if I build it. Is to make a shorter scale Kubiki inspired bass. Kubiki inspired, not copy, never copy. Um, why? Because my friend Arturo is not even my generation; it's one generation before me. He's a little older, so he knows this bass. He knows about Still Hand. He knows about Hungry Like a Wolf. He remembers that video when Duran Duran was out and about, and they were kings of the hill. He knows about this stuff, so I think he knows what a Kubiki bass is. And I want to surprise him. All right, so enough talking about the Kubiki. Let's talk about the neck, which is possibly all I'm going to do for this video because I don't want these videos to be, to be 2 hours. Who's going to watch a 2-hour video of me designing an instrument? But let's go into the website where we can design our neck. I wrote a couple of numbers down. Because remember, guys, we were talking about how it's important that you plan properly, right? That you come up with a very exact, a very accurate neck. So taking some measurements from a few of the bases that I have here, one of them that I built, another one that I have here that is a client's that I need to do repairs on. I've come up with some numbers that I think make a lot of sense for bass making. Something that I found out recently from doing some measurements on the instruments that I have here, especially one that I built myself, is that Fender Jazz necks are thinner than guitar necks. I suspected as much, I have to say, because it always felt so comfortable to me, which is why I was a jazz bass player. But I didn't know the difference was that much. It's quite a bit. And I think we're gonna stick with that. Well, you just saw a little bit of the studio there, but it doesn't matter. I don't think it showed anything important. I'm pretty sure it didn't. Anyways, all right. So let's get to work on this. We are going to be working in inches. I already started, obviously, as you can tell. You can turn off the strings or put on the strings. You can kind of customize how you want for it to be displayed, and whatever you choose here is going to show in the file that you're going to download. So I want to see the fretboard edges because obviously I want to see how thick the fretboard is going to be. This is if you can extend the frets to the edge. That's if you don't do this when it draws the frets for you on the file, they're going to be short, like you're doing blind frets. That's what it's called. If you were to use a CNC, obviously if you're going to do this by hand, this makes no sense to you. But you can cut only the area in the center of the fretboard and leave a tiny bit of meat on both sides so that the tang is not visible. It's not my case because I'm going to cut all the way through, so I'm going to do that. Bounding box. This is so that you can prepare the blanks. So if you were to let me say, if I was to do this completely by hand, which you could download this as a PDF, for example. Set up your printer. There's videos you can look up on this stuff, and I encourage you to do so if you're going to do this, so you can make sure that whatever you print is accurate in dimensions. Meaning that if you print a line that is 1 inch on your printer and you measure it, it is 1 inch. There's ways to set that up, and there's a lot of videos about that stuff. So I'm not going to do that here because I don't want this video to be forever. But you can do that, and then you can print it on the PDF and then tape it together and make your templates like that. I've done it before. Used to do it like that before my brother got the CNC that we have here in the shop. But the way that I do it is I prepare it for the CNC, set up all my cuts, and then I cut the fretboard out and do just mark where the frets are going to be. But I use like a V bit and just kind of trace the frets. It doesn't go full depth at all. It barely just scrapes it, and then I do it by hand, and do all the inlays by hand, glue it, what have you, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I find this to be useful, the bounding box, if you're going to be doing the template yourself, meaning you can print it on the pages. Something like this might be like 3 or 4 pages, honestly, and then tape it together and make sure you're as accurate as possible. Then use that, cut it out with scissors, use that to maybe glue it onto a MDF, and then the MDF can be used as your template to select the fretboards. And then metas, I don't really know what these are, to be honest. And so I haven't been using them, but I don't think they're that important because, yeah, never used them, never needed them. Now, I told you guys I'm going to be doing a short scale base, so I am going for 30 inches. If you look at short common, let's do this, short scale base scales, it seems to be 30, the number. See, 30 inches or less. Um, there's something to be said about going too small. A, 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 a bassist, me being one, we tend to be a little silly about this whole scale thing. Oh, no, it's got to be big bass. It's got to weigh 20 pounds so that you can feel it. But as you get older, you get over that crap. And I find that a light instrument is just more practical. I think 30 inches might be a good compromise. If you go too small, you're going to have floppy strings, and it might not be that great. The feel might not be that great, or maybe you have to be too gentle, or possibly put strings that are a lot thicker, which might not be something that you want to do. So yeah, so that's something for you to decide. String width at the nut. If you guys are lost in this page, you don't know exactly what's going on, you can always click on these things, and it's going to tell you the string width of the nut is the distance along the nut from the center of the first string to the center of the last string. So as I said before, I have millimeters to inches. I took some measurements, and the base that I have here that seems to be comfortable to me is 1.25 inches. 1.25 inches, 1 1/4. So here we are at 137. So let's do 125. That would be what we actually want. Let's hit enter, and it's gonna make, as you can see, that a lot thinner, which is what we are working on. String width at the bridge. This is at the 12th fret. I'm sorry, at the bridge. Yeah, the 12th fret's coming down over here. The string width at the bridge is distance along the bridge from the center of the first string to the center of the last string using delta distance. Okay, the rest of the information is if you are doing multi-scale, which I'm not going to do. But I wrote down that on the base bridge that I have to use, it's 56 millimeters. Yeah. I think in millimeters these days. Isn't that terrible? Some people might find that terrible, but I think in millimeters. And as we can see, it is 220. So that's going to be the number that I input right here. Okay. Now, let me go ahead and say something before somebody accuses me of doing extra stuff that's not needed. Obviously, you're not going to CNC strings, so you might be asking, yeah, so why do you need to do that if all that stuff is done by hand? It all comes down to planning. If I take my time, and the same goes for you, if you take your time when you're designing an instrument and you sit there and try to work out as much details as you can about that instrument, the chances of you messing up when you are building it slim down. And unless you want to make a lot of firewood, I recommend you trying to calculate as much as possible. If you're more the type of person that's like, ah, let me just go ahead and go, then go for it. Go for it. It's not my thing, but go for it. And it's not my thing because I learned the hard way. I learned the hard way. There's been so many times that I've just decided to wing it, and then I make beautiful, beautiful, gorgeous firewood because of that. And my wife gets me crap for it too. Okay, this fretboard overhang, as you can possibly tell, uh, it is how much after the string ends, how much fretboard do you want after that? And of course, that's going to be a consistent distance, since we are planning out how the strings split. Uh, by default, this is doing 0.09375. I'm going to go ahead and measure what I have on the base here because I feel like that's pretty good. Looks like I disconnected something. I have about 4.5 millimeters. So let's see. So 4.5, 0.17. All right, let's go back over here. 0.17. It's quite a bit more, right? So I'm going to hit enter. Want to see this move too. As you can see, now I have more fretboard. The number of strings obviously is important, so I'm going to change that. I'm sorry I skipped another thing, but it was bothering me to see 6 strings with my fretboard. And now we can see more or less how the fretboard is going to look. I think that's looking pretty good. Now, the really cool thing about using this website too that I really like is kind of giving you exact position of the bridge. This that you see here is the 30-inch scale. So obviously, when I cut out the fretboard, which I will do on the CNC, I don't need for the CNC to cut the fretboard all the way down here. That would make no sense. But when I'm designing it on the computer, which I'm going to do everything on the computer before I make the first cut, I might prepare blanks without doing this. Might. But that's about it. Before I have a plan, I'm not doing much more. But the thing is, uh, I know exactly where the bridge is going to be if I use this to create my files. All right, so we have the fretboard overhang. Now this is important, but not so much for me. This is the string spacing is. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but you can buy compensated nuts. I I don't buy them myself. I make them, but I do use this, which is a tool that my brother bought many years ago from StuMac. Uh, is the string spacing ruler, uh, and as much as I hate to admit it, I love this thing, and I use it all the time. And I don't want to build guitars without it because it just really helps me lay things out. So I'm not going to worry about that here, but obviously when I make the nut, it will be compensated. What else? We did the overhang, calculation method. Okay, you don't have to worry about that. This is how it calculates the scale. Number of frets. Okay, this is important. I don't need 24 frets. Who needs 24 frets on a bass? Nobody. If you're asking for 24 frets, you're wrong. Um, Honestly, 21 frets is to me the right number, but I'm going to put 22. And the reason why is because I'm going to use the 22nd fret as my cut. So it won't have a fret here, but this will be where the fretboard ends. You see what I mean? And what else? Tuning, we're not going to mess with that stuff. And if you want to print out this page after it does all the math for you, so you want to double and triple check and what have you, that's all you got to do. Now, this is my favorite part. Now, after we look it over, everything's looking pretty good. Inches, okay, we're good. 30 inches, blah, 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 equal. Okay, 22 frets. We're good. Now, all I got to do is save. Save SVG. I'm going to put short scale bass revised. So I made some changes from the previous one. Save that. And now we're going to go into my Vectric. I already started a new file. You know, I don't know if people would be interested in me showing them how to use Vectric. I am not the best at this program. I'm still learning. There's a guy that I follow who swears by it. You might know him, Tim Sway. And that's why I have it. That's why I got myself some Vectric. But he does amazing things with this program, and I'm just scratching the surface. And so here we go. That's my fretboard right there. It's good to go. It's at scale. And because I started with my blank like that, I'm going to go ahead and rotate it minus 90 degrees so it can be where I need it. And apply. All right, close. And we're going to move it to, actually, no. I'm going to center it to here, center it to there. Check that out. In the center of my job. And that is my fretboard. What you're seeing right now, this really weird lines and all that stuff, that's just how this displays it. But if you zoom in, it's a vector file, just like Illustrator. It doesn't have that. It's just a display, kind of tricking your eyes kind of deal. And this is how you start using that website and how you begin designing your necks. Obviously, this has nothing to do with the thicknesses of the neck, nothing to do with the shape of the back, like if you're going to do softy, all that stuff. I'm not going to touch on this video because, as I said, this is just a video to help you do a layout. Calculate scales accurately and begin designing. Do you have to use Vectric? No, you don't. You can use Inkscape, which is free. You can use Illustrator, which is very powerful, but it's not free. But if you have a CNC, this is a good alternative to Fusion 360, which I call Confusion 360 because I tried using it once and it just gave me a headache. Anyways, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys learned how to do a neck layout using my trusty website, ekips.org. And that if you are going to give it a go, if you're going to try building your own guitar, actually, you know, did I show you guys? I didn't. I apologize. So that is so dumb of me. You know, okay, tell you what, all that I did, okay, is I saved that file, went into my Aspire, which I'm going to put on top of this one. I don't know why I assumed it was going to do it for me. Okay, I apologize. I went into Aspire. Let me show you. I went here, File, Import Vectors, loaded my file, and boom, there you go. That's all I did. And I rotated it so it would be right where I wanted it to be. That's all that I did, nothing more. And I was talking about the lines looking weird. As you can see, they look weird, but they're fine. Anyways, okay, that's it. I rambled too long. Where are we at? 28 minutes. Too long. Too long. I am sorry, but I hope you learned something. And I hope you follow me on this build. I'm gonna go home now, make myself some coffee. Like I said, we're in the middle of a blackout, and just spend some time drawing, seeing if I can come up with a shape that I really enjoy and that fits this scale. One of the hardest things for me to think about on this one is a headstock, because Kubiki has no headstock. So every time I try to think of something that fits, it hurts my brain. But anyways, that's it. Thank you guys for watching. If you like this kind of stuff, if you learned something today, go ahead and give me a thumbs up so that YouTube knows I did something of value. And if you're not following along, I invite you to check out the other videos on the channel, some of the other guitars I built. Ask questions. I'm happy to respond. Leave me a comment. Leave me a critique. It doesn't matter. We're all here to share. I hope everybody's doing awesome. Have a good evening.